Hello, this is the fifth video on index numbers. Here we will compare the last pairs and past days methods of calculating price index, and then we will talk about retail price index and briefly on consumer price index. And finally, we will see how we can deflate a series using retail price index. Firstly, on the comparison between the last pairs and past days method. Let us recall the formula of calculating last pairs and past days index. As we can see, in case of last pairs, we only require quantity of the base year. In addition, the denominator in case of last pairs is only calculated once. Whereas in case of past days, we need quantity of the current year. So when we are calculating price index, we need the quantity of every next year in case of past days, which is not required for last pairs, because last pairs only uses the quantity of the base year. Because of these conveniences, last pairs method is more commonly used. However, in case of last pairs, we need to redefine the base year in frequent intervals because we do not want the base year quantity to be outdated. In case of past days, because that it uses the current year quantity, the method reflects on current consumption. This can be taken as an advantage of past days method. Now we will talk about the retail price index. Retail price index, or RPI, is a measure of finding the change in price of goods and services that people buy on a regular basis. Let us recall our previous videos in which you were presented various goods inside a basket. In case of retail price index, they call basket of goods and services. The basket of goods is basically a term used to describe what people buy on a regular basis, such as food, clothes, transportation, furniture, etc. In fact, the basket represents a sample of those goods and services on which households typically spend their money. Hence, RPI measures the changing cost of a fixed basket of goods and services. There is an interesting article inside the website of Office of National Statistics Online regarding measuring UK inflation, where retail price index has been discussed into some detail. As mentioned in this article, Office of National Statistics Online collects 120,000 separate price quotations every month from randomly selected outlets, including those in shopping centers, out-of-town retail outlets, supermarkets, corner shops, and the internet. Price collectors visit shops in 141 locations across the UK to collect over 100,000 prices of around 600 representative goods and services typically bought by UK households. The large numbers of prices collected for each item in the sample means that there is a broad representation of brands. For example, over 130 prices are collected for a box of 80 tea bags, including all the main brands as well as supermarkets' own brands. For your information, Office of National Statistics has data on retail price index since 1947. Another popular measure of inflation is Consumer Price Index, also known as CPI. CPI is popular in Europe, and Britain has begun to build CPI index since 1997. RPI and CPI are more or less the same. However, some items are excluded in CPI which are included in RPI. These are those which are mainly related with housing costs such as council tax, mortgage, etc. There is another called RPIX in which the mortgage payment is excluded. Now this RPI can be used to compute the real change in earnings or expenditure, for which we need to learn the techniques of deflation. Let us look into this example, where a company says that the annual turnover is as follows. With the knowledge of retail price index, we can deflate the company's turnover and find out the actual turnover, where actual or real turnover means the turnover which also considers the price effect. In order to find the deflated turnover, we will keep the base year retail price index, which in this case is 1988 RPI 106.9 as numerator, and the current year retail price index, say when we are calculating for 1989, the current year retail price index is 115.2 as denominator, and multiply by the given turnover. After doing the calculation, we will get the deflated turnover, which is less than the company's given turnover. We can plot this data by means of a line chart using Excel, and can notice the difference in the actual, in the given, and the deflated turnover. Thank you.